When my cousin Travis told me he'd found the missing Harper family, I thought he was joking. You mean the Harpers from the Amber Pines case? I asked, phone tucked between my ear and shoulder as I loaded boxes into my truck. Yeah, the ones that vanished from their cabin 6 years ago, he said. I found it. Not them. He dropped a pin. It was 4 miles past the last paved road, deep in the New Hampshire forest where service was spotty and people didn't go on purpose. The Harpers had disappeared after a weekend trip. No signs of forced entry. Food still on the table. Not a single trace of where they went. But now Travis had found it. We were both urban explorers, hobbyist idiots with cameras and flashlights chasing ghost towns and rotting houses. But this wasn't just some forgotten asylum. This was real. So, we packed up. Just us. No cell coverage, no backup. Just the promise of something unbelievable. We arrived just before dusk. The trees leaned in around the dirt road, making the truck feel smaller with every mile. Then, between the trunks, a clearing. There it was. The cabin. And it looked like it had never been gone. Paint intact. Windows not broken. A red canoe still hanging on a rusted hook by the porch. I looked at Travis. He just shook his head. It's like they never left. Inside, everything was clean. Too clean. Furniture was dust-free. A bowl of plastic fruit sat on the table. A knitted throw over the back of the couch looked recently fluffed. It smelled faintly of cinnamon. But the worst part, the fridge. Someone had taped a list of rules to it, written in a child's handwriting. Cabin rules. Don't open the bedroom doors after dark. If something knocks, knock back once. Say goodnight before turning off the lights. Never, ever say your name out loud. Don't look under the porch. Ever. Travis snapped a photo. This is gold, he whispered. Creepy pasta in real life. But I didn't laugh. Let's check the bedrooms, he said. No, I said. Not until morning. I couldn't explain it, but the air in the cabin was watching. Not heavy. Just aware. That night, we set up sleeping bags in the main room. We didn't turn off the lights. Around 2:12 a.m., something knocked. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the front door. Knock, knock, knock. We froze. Travis mouthed. What do we do? I didn't know. But I remembered the list. I raised my fist and knocked, once on the wooden floor. Nothing. Then, faintly, a voice on the other side of the door whispered. Thank you. We didn't sleep. At dawn, we opened the door. No footprints. Just a pine cone, perfectly placed in the center of the welcome mat. It hadn't been there when we arrived. I want to leave, I said. But Travis pointed. Look. On the porch railing, someone had carved a fresh message into the wood. She's still inside. We didn't speak for several minutes. The words carved into the porch, she's still inside, dug into my brain like splinters. There was no wind, no birdsong. The whole forest felt like it had sucked in a breath and refused to let it go. Travis leaned in, tracing the carving with his finger. She who? He asked. But we both knew. The Harper family had a daughter. Her name was Lucy. Back inside, the cabin was exactly as we'd left it. Except, the door to the far bedroom, the one we'd agreed not to open, was ajar. Not wide open. Just cracked, maybe 2 inches. I didn't touch it, Travis whispered. I know, I said. There was no way that door had opened by itself. It had been shut. Firmly. Travis stepped toward it. No, I said, grabbing his sleeve. It's still dark in there. Sun's up. Lights in the hallway, he said. We just look. We don't go in. He pushed the door slowly. Inside, the room looked like a normal kid's bedroom of pastel walls, bookshelves, glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. A stuffed rabbit on the pillow. But the bed was made. And the sheets were warm. Like someone had just gotten up. I stepped back. Close it, I said. Travis hesitated. Then did. We decided to stay one more night. Just one. We'd record everything, get footage, and leave. Sell the story to a podcast or YouTube channel. We spent the day searching the woods around the cabin. No graves. No signs of a struggle. Just deer prints and moss. It was like the land refused to remember what had happened. Back inside, I checked the fridge. The list of rules was gone. I blinked. Travis. The rules. They're not here. What? He rushed over. But the paper had vanished. Even the tape marks were gone. Instead, On the counter, someone had left a new list. This time, typed, clean, precise, revised rules. Keep the door shut. She listens. Don't knock unless you want to see her. Turn off all lights by midnight. Don't say your name or hers. If she whispers, don't respond. The porch is not safe after sundown. This wasn't here, Travis said. Someone's messing with us. We tried to leave. Bags packed, keys in hand. But the truck wouldn't start. Battery? Fine. Fuel? Full. We tried everything. Then we heard it again. 3 knocks. But not on the front door this time. From underneath the cabin. Knock. 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 We backed away from the floorboards. Under the porch, Travis whispered. The list said never look under. He didn't finish. Because then something whispered through the vents. It didn't sound angry. It didn't even sound human. It sounded curious. Like a child pretending to be a grown-up. Are you new? Travis dropped the flashlight. We stayed awake until dawn again. The knock stopped. The whispering didn't. Around 4:45 a.m., I fell asleep for maybe 20 minutes. When I woke, Travis was gone. His sleeping bag was still warm. Travis. I stood in the empty room, my breath fogging in the air despite the heater still humming. His boots were gone. His camera bag was still here. The front door was unlocked, but not open. I called his name, quietly at first, then louder. Travis. The woods outside were silent. Sunlight crept through the trees, but didn't reach the ground. I stepped onto the porch and froze. Something had dug under it. I mean, literally dug. A narrow, man-sized tunnel now yawned beneath the porch steps, dirt piled in a neat mound. Like something had crawled out, or pulled something in. I stared into it, and from inside, faint and distorted, I heard Travis's voice. Bro? Hey, I'm down here. I think I found something. Except it wasn't his voice. Not really. It was like a recording of him. Slightly off, like someone had learned to imitate him and was still getting the tone right. I backed away. Nice try, I muttered. But then my phone vibrated. No service all night, and now suddenly I had a message. From Travis. Just one photo. It was blurry. Looked like it had been taken in the cabin, maybe from the bedroom window. In the image, I was asleep in my sleeping bag. And next to me, someone else was lying on the floor. Small, barefoot, wearing a pale blue dress. She was staring at me. The timestamp? 4:12 a.m. I ran. Not far, maybe 50 feet into the woods. Just enough to get away from the cabin and breathe. And that's when I heard my voice calling. Travis? You out there? I went still. I hadn't said anything. But my voice was moving through the trees, like it was trying to find me. Saying things I hadn't said. Come back. I'm cold. I don't want to be alone. It sounded like a child mimicking me, same as it had mimicked Travis. I crouched and waited. Eventually, the voice faded. I crept back to the cabin just before dusk. The door was closed now. Deadbolt. From the inside. But someone had taped something to the window. A photograph. Of the Harper family. All 5 of them. Mother, father, 2 boys, and Lucy. Except this time, Lucy's face was wrong. Blurry. Like it didn't belong. And across the bottom, in thick red marker. She doesn't want to be alone anymore. I smashed the window, climbed back in. I didn't care about the rules anymore. I was getting Travis out, or at least, whatever was left of him. I searched the bedroom. This time, the door swung open easily. The rabbit was gone. The bed was unmade. And a strange, sour smell filled the air. In the closet, something moved. I pulled the door open. It was Lucy. Or something wearing Lucy. She looked maybe 9. Barefoot, just like in the photo. Pale blue dress. But her arms were too long, and her smile was too wide. Her eyes were bottomless, like black holes in her face. She tilted her head and said, in Travis's voice, Found you. I ran. Through the hallway. Past the living room. I nearly tripped over something at the front door. It was Travis's mouth. Just the mouth, like it had been peeled off a face and left on the floor. His lips still twitching like they wanted to speak. The rest of him was nowhere. I locked myself in the bathroom. There was no mirror. Just an empty frame where it should have been. Something knocked on the other side of the door. Not once. Not 3 times. 5 knocks. Rapid. Precise. Like fingers tapping a message in a language I didn't understand. Then silence. I held my breath, crouched in the bathtub with the shower curtain drawn like it mattered. Then came the scratching. Not on the door, but inside the room. On the walls. High, near the ceiling. Something had gotten in without opening anything. "Why are you hiding?" said Lucy's voice. Except it wasn't coming from the hall. It was coming from inside my own mouth. I felt my lips moving without permission. I clamped them shut and bit down until blood pooled. Her giggle echoed around the room, bouncing off the walls like it was everywhere at once. "You broke the rules," she sang. "You saw me. You said your name. Now you're part of the story." I ran again. No plan. No flashlight. Just bolted into the night like a stupid animal, hoping something out there would be less terrifying than what was behind me. The woods didn't help. They bent wrong. Paths shifted. Trees I passed once seemed to return again in reverse. The forest was looping. At one point, I found Travis's jacket, draped over a stump, perfectly dry despite the cold dew. Inside one pocket, a piece of paper. Crumpled. Faint pencil marks. A drawing. Stick figures. 5 of them holding hands in front of the cabin. One was clearly Travis, labeled T. Next to him, a smaller figure, scribbled in with black crayon, labeled L. Lucy. And behind them, drawn in jagged red lines, a 6th shape. Towering. Faceless. No label. I turned around, and there was the cabin again. I had run in a circle. Only now, all the lights were off. But someone had lit candles in every window. Dozens of them. Flickering silhouettes moved behind the curtains. I had no choice. I stepped inside. In the living room, 5 people stood in the glow. Mr. and Mrs. Harper. Their sons. Lucy. Only, their faces were wrong. Like someone had sculpted them from memory, but got the details off. Their mouths didn't move right. Eyes were too shiny. And their skin, too smooth, like plastic. They turned to me in unison. Mrs. Harper stepped forward. "Thank you for bringing her back," she said. "Back from where?" I whispered. They all pointed at me. "No," I said. "She's here. I didn't bring anything." Lucy stepped out from the hallway. She was smiling. And now so was I. I didn't want to smile. My lips just moved. She whispered something in a language I didn't know. And then I said it back. I didn't mean to. But my throat said the words anyway. My tongue moved like it wasn't mine. That's when the Harpers blinked, all at once, and walked calmly into the bedroom hallway, one by one, leaving Lucy and me in the room alone. She took my hand. "You're ready now," she said. "For what?" I croaked. "To stay." I don't remember how long I stood there, holding her hand. The candles burned down to nubs. The air grew colder, but I wasn't shivering. I wasn't even breathing. Not really. She looked at me like I was hers now. And maybe I was. I tried to speak, but my jaw didn't move. Only my eyes still worked, and they burned with the need to scream. Then a sound. The front door creaked. Someone had come in. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness. "Hello." A man stepped inside. Late 30s. Hiking gear. Behind him, 2 others. Tourists. Maybe YouTubers. They stopped when they saw me. I must have looked insane, standing barefoot, eyes wide, holding the hand of a little girl who didn't blink. What the hell? One of them raised his phone, began to record. Lucy turned to me, still smiling. "They're next," she whispered. And then she vanished. Not ran, not hid, just gone, like she folded into the shadows and disappeared. I collapsed. The tourists rushed over. One tried to help me up. The other 2 searched the house. "No one else here," one of them said. "No girl. Nothing. Just this guy." They got me outside. Fed me water. Called the rangers. I didn't tell them anything. What would I say? That a little girl had stolen my name? That I saw a fake family made of wax? That I'd spoken a language that made my soul feel like it unraveled? The cabin was reported again. This time, it didn't vanish. The police marked it off, took statements, sealed it with tape. But no bodies. No blood. No Lucy. No Harper family. And no Travis. They searched for a week. Drones. Dogs. Nothing. I went home. Tried to forget. But 2 weeks later, something arrived in the mail. No return address. Inside, a single Polaroid. Me and Travis, on the porch of the cabin. Only now, I was the one carved into the railing. My name, gouged into the wood. And the back of the photo? Just 5 words. You never knocked back. I moved cities. Changed my number. Tried everything. But she follows me now. Not always in person. Sometimes just her shadow and reflections. Or her voice in the TV static. And always at 2:12 a.m. Knock. 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 I don't answer anymore. But I think that's worse. Because now she doesn't knock. She lets herself in. And I wake up to find dirt on the floor. Pine cones on my nightstand. And the rules, the ones from the fridge, freshly written in crayon on my mirror.